My work has always revolved around inequalities of multilingualism, and whether I would do language policy or classroom discourse analysis, or whether I do literacy development, or even TESOL, or teaching of English as a second language, all of that still addresses or attempts or aims to address inequalities of multilingualism. There are many languages in this community, there are many languages in this nation, in this country. That's multilingual. But that's only half of the story. The other half of the story, which I think is more important and more critical, is that these languages are valued differently. But the actual learning of the language and the resources that you have to put into the learning of English are not equal when it comes to groups of people and communities. So there is also that kind of inequality or unequal access to the learning of the language too, which also exacerbates inequalities as well, because language is part of social, what you might call different forms of social inequality too.
Do you have any ideas in terms of how we should best engage new audiences and make linguistics more accessible to them?
Well, that's where my work in Filipino or Pinoy pop music comes into the picture. I think we are not really just simply talking of hundreds of people in this particular community. We're talking in terms of thousands of people in this community. And my experience is that these are people who have the potential to have a great impact on transforming education, not just in the Philippines, but actually also anywhere else in the world. And what is fascinating here, of course, is that there are times when, let's say, members of SB19 would you speak in a Philippine language that is not as used, in other words, as, let's say, English and Filipino, which is the national language. And yet people come together and try to figure out, what does it mean? What exactly did, let's say, Ken Susan of SB19 say? And then, the kinds of strategies that they engage in just to, continue the conversation. So, of course, those who are, let's say, speakers of that language would help others explain what it is. Those who don't speak the language will go and look for their parents or their friends or boyfriends or girlfriends who speak that language for help. Some also would draw on their own knowledge of their own other Philippine languages because there are similarities and coming together. I think the point here really is that the language the language used or the languages used did not become barriers to communication.